The Laura Ingraham Show.
Where's my phone? How many times have I left my phone in this studio as I'm driving away from the studio? And one of the interns has to bring it down to me. But I know, you freak. You freak out when you don't have your phone. And I do notice this, okay? I do notice this, that I don't remember numbers like I used to. And it's not just because I'm getting older, although I'm getting older. I used to remember numbers. Like there's a couple numbers I remember. I remember Raymond's. I remember Chris's. I remember...
Come on, where's my number?
I know yours. I know Drew's. But I don't know numbers like I used to know them. You memorize numbers. Remember, Raymond, growing up, you
right.
memorized numbers.
You had to. And addresses.
Oh, addresses. You knew their addresses.
The other thing a smartphone
it's
does.
Making us stupid. That's a new story that came out. It's making us less engaged on fact-based learning and memorization.
Well, all technology changes you in some way. I mean, every advance in technology. Smartphones, unfortunately, have deprived us of our brain and common sense because think about it. You don't know how to get anywhere without typing the address into the cell phone. People can't read maps. Kids cannot read maps anymore.
You look at a map, the kids just want to...
Unless there's a traveling dot like that Harry Potter has, moving over the map magically. They can't follow the map. So you need to use the cell phone. And I was speaking to a doctor the other day, and he was saying so many of his patients have sleep deprivation because they leave the phone on and they're constantly checking in the middle of the night, or the light goes off, or it buzzes, and it wakes them, and they read the messages.
Okay, here's a question for all of you. Do you ever check your phone in the middle of the night? Okay, do you check? And I'm not talking about if it's an emergency, the phone, your home phone, if you still have a home phone. Your cell phone. Do you check your cell phone if you have to get up to go to the bathroom? Do you check your phone? Okay, if you wake up and you just have momentary insomnia, do you check your phone? Do you leave your phone on your side table or on your actual bed? Okay. Do you find yourself checking your phone under the table while you're at dinner at a public restaurant or facility?
Wait, what do you mean under the table? Do you check your cell phone while you're in conversation with people you're having dinner with?
Yes.
Ms. Ingram.
We got a name there.
If they're boring, yes, I will. No, I won't. I don't like that. On occasion. Okay. They're dull. Here's a question. Have you ever, Raymond Arroyo, checked your cell phone during Mass? You cannot tell a lie. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so have I. I don't do it often. But I have done it.
Well, that's right. I'm looking up alternative homilies.
Right.
That's what it is.
Using it kind of all the time, excessively, having a little bit of an inability to control your use. So we had a lot of people reporting that, they couldn't turn their phone off.
Smartphones are making us less able to think for ourselves. Researchers are now claiming. The study has shown that people who have strong cognitive skills spend less time on their devices than those with less brain power. Those who think in an analytical way also pick up their phones less frequently because they remember things or are able to work problems out for themselves. The study said that smartphones were making people lazier than ever as we saw them as an extension of our mind. Googling information we don't know is replacing natural curiosity, a trend that will only get worse in the future. The study was carried out by researchers at the University of Waterloo in Ontario and involved studying 660 people. The team looked at various measures of brain power and cognitive skills ranging from intuitive to analytical, along with verbal and numeracy skills. They also asked all of those taking part to write down their smartphone habits, and they got into deep details on how often they check their phone, use their phone, frequency of use, frequency of checking, duration of calls, duration of web browsing.
Take a selfie and Instagram it.
He said, our research provides support for an association between heavy smartphone use and lowered intelligence. I am opening this up because I actually think it's a huge problem. 855-40-LAURA. Do you feel like you're becoming more dependent on your phone, especially for driving and finding places. I will submit that in new places, when I go to a city that I don't know well, I don't learn the city. Like if I'm there for 2 or 3 days, which I often am if I'm speaking or doing events or new businesses we're working on or station visits, I used to learn the city. I don't feel like I learned the city. I'm talking geographical, to be able to hop in the car and drive. Oh, yeah, it's over there. You find your way there.
I'm sure you can do New York, though.
I know. Well, New York, because I've lived there for a while. Yes, I know New York. I know New York very well. But I don't use my cell phone to find my way around New York because I learned it.
Right.
I don't think we're learning it. We're not learning numbers. It's always to your contacts. Even frequently dialed numbers, people aren't learning anymore. Do you find there's a correlation between cell phone use and your own cognitive abilities? Are they sharpening or decreasing? Have you noticed a difference? And do you notice it among younger people? Because they're constantly checking, constantly checking. 855-40-LAURA. And what effect do you see smartphones having on the younger generation? Children, grandchildren, friends? We have a lot of young people listening to the show. A lot of you listen on Laura 365, which you should learn more about on our website. You can listen. You can stream the show anytime you want, anywhere you want, on your smartphone. A lot of people are using it on their smartphone. So you're listening it to on your iPad or wherever you are, right? Do you find yourself losing that edge a little bit because you instantly go for the easy way? The easy way is, Google it. The easy way is, no, don't think it through. Let me check the smartphone. I answer this question emphatically yes. 855-40-LAURA. Let's go to Steve, Seattle, Washington, line 2. Steve.
Yes, so the other thing it does, especially for younger kids, it reinforces the instant gratification behavior. So when you're trying to instill patience and things take time and things just don't happen overnight, the constant hitting pressing the buttons and getting some sort of response, just reinforcing that behavior, and could have in fact long term, especially if you want to save money to buy things, you have to defer gratification. So I think over the long run, especially for younger people, that behavioral response will have a detrimental effect.
Yeah, well, patience. I mean, the New York Times had this piece back in 2011, Internet Use Affects Memory, study finds. And ditto, the addictive Internet use restructuring the brain, Scientific American. Does addictive Internet use restructure the brain, the way the young brain especially develops? A UCLA study found that Internet use has a marked reaction on brain function. Some people will say it's a positive thing because it stimulates your brain activity. The study, the first of its kind to assess the impact of searching on brain performance, is currently in. They're giving us a little preview of it. This was some years ago. The study results back in 2008 were encouraging that emerging computerized technologies may have physiological effects and potential benefits for middle-aged and older adults. That's interesting. So they're still pursuing, this study, and it's a long-term study. Internet searching engages complicated brain activity, which may help exercise and improve brain function in older Americans. That's interesting. So the younger Americans, the older Americans, remember, they grew up without the Internet use. So they were able to develop their cognitive functions and not have so much, at least, of that. I think the caller's right, that instant gratification. I want the information now. No ability to be patient and find the answer. Reason through a problem. I want the answer now. Let's go to Richard, Globe, Arizona, line 1. Richard, this is a big topic. There are a lot of different aspects of this. I don't want to sound like I'm anti-technology. I'm not anti-technology, but we have to be honest about sometimes where it takes us. Richard.
Laura, Richard, violence is the big problem. A teenager in Kentucky killed his mother, father, his 12-year-old sister because either his cell phone or computer was taken from him. A girl tried to poison her grandparents. If you're a teacher in the school and a kid breaks the rules by having a cell phone, you literally risk your life trying to get that away from them because all of their personal information is on that phone, and they will fight you to keep that phone. Now, we are overlooking this factor that these phones, this technology is making our kids crazy, literally crazy, because so much personal information.
Jealousy. Well, let's bring up the issues, Richard. I'm glad you raised that issue of violence. Jealousy. Obviously, but, that's with Facebook and checking everyone else what they're doing. Jealousy, bullying, online porn, sexting, and I think that addictive quality, which is it's just obvious. I mean, I feel like I use it too much, right? It's addicting. It is addicting. I constantly have to be in touch. Always plugged in. You don't relax. How about relaxing? How about experiencing life? How about breathing, looking at the beauty around you instead of craning your neck downward to the smartphone?
We went to a concert last week at the Verizon Center. Here are people. They paid hundreds of dollars to be on the floor of this concert. Every one of them, almost to a person, has the cell phone in front of their faces recording the concert. No. Why didn't you just wait for the video release? They'll release it on DVD eventually.
They're not really experiencing they're not experiencing the concert.
They're experiencing it via television, via a screen, when the person is right in front of you. That's what I find so destructive and weird.
Raymond, don't glide by this concert so quickly. Who, pray tell, did you see in concert?
Had you listened to your show? I confess this and went very...
Well, maybe not everybody listening now heard you on Friday.
Where it was a Barry Manilow on CD.
Mariella's 9.
She was, and she's there shaking the glow stick. It was an amazing, a great family concert.
He's an amazing performer.
Tremendous.
He is what a talent.
But not to be enjoyed via the cell phone.
Right, you just hold.
They're right
Mike,
there.
you've seen that at rock concerts. Do the same thing.
Ridiculous.
Rock concerts, movies.
Movies. That's against the law.
Yeah,
it's against the law. You can't do that at movies.
I told you when I was on my honeymoon in Antigua and the storm came through, knocked out the Wi-Fi. As soon as it came back on, 300 people are crammed into a 20 by 20 hotel room checking their Facebook sites.
Because they only got it in one room, Mike said. So they all all these people on vacation, they all go into the one room.
Paradise with white sandy beaches and a bar stock that's free, and nope, I gotta get on Facebook.
Oh no, they're all there. Oh no, that's hilarious.
I gotta Instagram this.
You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, dumbing down America. The cell phone, the constant turned on technology, killing the curiosity of the American people. I'm sorry. I think I agree with this. I agree with this as a subjective matter and an objective matter. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. Do you check too often? Do you have your phone by your bed? Why is it there by your bed? And do you feel like you want to wean yourself away from it? Too much. 855-40-LAURA. A lot more to get to, and don't go away.
News reporter from Florida.
That's hilarious. I agree. We're devolving with technology. I know I'm sounding anti-science, and everyone's, oh, Laura, you can't stop. The genie's out of the bottle. We're having a conversation.
Trivia Crack, the word game. We play those all the time. When the kids are playing theirs, we're playing ours. That's a family night of fun on Friday night. Everybody has their devices, and they're sitting there playing on them instead of playing games like we used to.
I think you get really lost in your texting and checking up on your emails and surfing really easily, and then you lose track of your spending time with the kid.
We're human beings. We're not robots. We want to have emotions and experiences. I was in Florida. It was not very good weather. It was kind of rainy, but I went down to the beach, right? And I didn't have my phone the first time I went, and I thought, oh, I got to take a picture of this. Stormy skies, dark clouds, but there was a beautiful opening in the clouds with the rays. It looks like God. You know, the image of God breaking through the clouds, and the sunlight and the rays are coming down. It's beautiful. Really stormy, though. Super high waves and so forth. And I said to myself, I got to experience it. But I felt like, where's my phone? And I was thinking, where's my phone? For just a few minutes, I ruined the entire moment for myself because I was paranoid about losing my phone, or I left my phone down at the pool. Someone could take it. I went back and got the phone. Then I come back out, snapped some photos, threw it on Facebook. And I walked up and down the beach and took some photos for my kids because they weren't with me and wanted to take photos of the jellyfish and stuff because they like to pop the jellyfish. They like to stomp on the jellyfish and pop them. Nico likes to especially pop them.
All right.
And you hear the sound, pop, pop, pop. They're all over the beach. Those man o' wars, those things are horrible.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm taking lots of photos.
Not trying to be touching them.
But I thought to myself, remember when you just used to go to the beach and enjoy the moment? But instead I turn it into an assignment. I have to snap the photos. You don't have to snap the photo. Just enjoy the moment, people. Enjoy the moment.
What smartphones have done for us, the lack of interaction that we have with people, what's going on, in the world, because everywhere you look, I mean, you don't see people sitting down reading books anymore. They have a Kindle. You don't see people sitting at dinner tables talking to each other. They're handing their kids iPads, and they're on their phones, and we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Farm Heroes.
Greg, Jacksonville, Florida, an opposite point of view, and I like everybody's point of view on this. Greg, go ahead.
Florida. Yeah, on the other hand, it's a great learning device. Very often my wife and I in discussions, for example, you were just talking about the Selma March, and we said, well, why was the civil rights, did that go on after the Civil Rights Act was actually passed? And then, when was Martin Luther King assassinated? You go to your iPhone, you ask the question, you learn something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can learn great facts and dip back in and out of history. And if everyone was doing what you were doing, Greg, the iPhone or the internet or the addiction wouldn't be an issue. You're actually using it the right way. Good for you. David on line 5, millennials and their work ethic. I hate to paint with such a broad brush with millennials, but I guess I've found that in some cases it does seem they're a little less hungry than I was. Let's just put it that way. A little less hungry, a little more concerned with their free time or their personal schedules than they are with work. And maybe it's part of the everybody gets a trophy generation. Well, like, I'm special and I need my personal time and I've had this previous engagement and I just can't make it tomorrow. I'm sorry, I can't make it. David, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Laura, for taking my call. I've been a big fan for a while.
Thanks.
Read all your books. Thank you.
Thank you.
My daughter is 20 years old, and she has to be just the most unmotivated, laziest person I know. Her main 3 priorities in life are getting a new tattoo, going to the latest movie, and going to the concert. And that is all she is worried about. She has no career path. She's the girl who went to a job interview in a pair of flip-flops, a torn T-shirt, and sweatpants, and then when they turned her down, was totally oblivious to the fact as, you look like a homeless bum, why didn't I get the job? She just didn't understand that fact. And I was always brought up, 15 minutes early, you walk in, suit and tie, you put your best foot forward,
Absolutely.
You bust your butt, you work for what you want, growing up in the Midwest and here in Iowa. And my daughter is just, oh, well, me, and if she don't get her way, she'll have a freaking temper tantrum.
Well, can I ask a few questions about her upbringing? Because Columbo here has a few, my little antenna are going up here. So how did you model behavior for her? Your own work ethic, your own approach to life? You and your wife, I assume. Are you and your wife together?
Yep, my wife and I have been married 20 years yesterday.
Okay, so she's 20. You had her right away when you got married. Is that right? I'm not trying to get too personal here. But...
Yeah, my wife was pregnant with her when we got married.
Right, so what? Great. So you got married and good stuff. So when did your wife work, or did she did she do the hard work of raising children?
She stayed home and raised the kids until they all got to like 5, 6 years old, and then she got a job and joined the workforce, and she had been kind of working intermittently in between our kids.
And how many children do you have? How many children?
We have 4 kids. My daughter and then 3 boys, and my 3 sons are very hard workers. Want to go to college, fight for what they want, save their money.
Okay, so she's an outlier. She sounds like an outlier in the family. You know what you should do? You should have her call into the show at some point. I'm going to help her. No, I'll help her. I will help her. look, she just needs to get a better focus. She needs to get on the right track. And the society is filled with all sorts of little, enticements and shiny objects that young people will follow. And then all of a sudden they'll wake up and they'll be 35 and they'll still be wearing the same pair of flip-flops they were wearing when they were 21. And they'll think, gee, why does it seem like life has passed me by? So get her to call into the show sometime and tell our call screener that you're Dave from Iowa. And she can think this is really goofy, but guess what? I think I can help. I just have a feeling that I can help. Is she doing any work whatsoever now, or is she in school now?
She has a job that she has expressed her desire that she is going to be quitting that job because she wants to be a professional video game player. I don't even know what the heck that means.
Did you allow your kids to play video games at home?
When they were younger, we did, but it was, your homework's done, your chores are done. This is the last hour before your bedtime. So yeah, you can play a video game with Dad, and we'll have a little, competition with the game, or you can play with Mom. It was, never a console in their room, and their hours and hours.
Well, I can't figure out. I can't figure this out without talking to her. But I want to talk to her. I want to see what's going on in her head and who her friends are and what her faith life is, and see if we can't make some progress there. So try to get her to call into the show. I mean, I know you think she might not, but she might. You just never know. Well, and plus, if nothing else, she can just have a fun conversation, and then she could just laugh at me thinking I don't know what I'm talking about, which is fun. It's not the first time I've heard that. Let's go to TJ in Utah, line 1. TJ, we're talking about millennials. They're about aged 18 to 25, 26 or so. That's what they peg the millennial generation as. And this is this is the generation that grew up most, I think best described as the everybody gets a trophy generation, right? Where there is no winner or loser. There are no class rankings anymore, and everyone's special. And it's the PC culture. I mean, politically correct culture in schools and in colleges. And now what?
Well,
now
Drew's
what?
A millennial.
What? Drew's a millennial, but he's really hardworking. So I don't think you can paint it with a broad brush. I think they just need to be taught. I mean, a lot of them just aren't taught. They don't have parents who really actually teach them why it's so important to have a work ethic and to show up at work with a can-do attitude. You know what the worst thing you could tell someone who's your superior in the workplace? No, I don't think I can do that. You know what you say? I'm going to try my best to get that done. Or, okay, there might be some. Let me do my best. Let me see what I can do to get that done. Or, absolutely. In fact, I already have it done. Outperform in the workplace. That's what I tried to do. You outperform. So you go above and beyond, and then suddenly you become indispensable in the workplace. You become the indispensable one. Next thing you know, you're promoted. You're off to the next thing. TJ in Utah, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, big fan, and I am a millennial, but I'm on the older edge of it. And I think it actually goes all the way up to mid 30s now, 34 maybe.
Does it? Okay, go ahead.
But I don't think it should. I think that there is a demarcation between the millennials that grew up in that trophy culture, but then we went to college, most of us, and then graduated into the Great Recession, and that taught us that all of this gilded, wonderful life we thought we would have is no longer around. It's a new normal. And so I find that the older millennials tend to work really hard. They tend to be very motivated and great workers. And then the younger generation that's coming out of college now still has that same gilded mentality, but they haven't had to go through that harder period. So
I think the 9/11, TJ, don't you think 9/11 also, you were, 14 or so when 9/11 happened? Am I getting that right?
Yeah. I was.
9/11 also is different. It's a different demarcation for older millennials. I think that's a great point. So you lived through that, you saw that, and just even through a teenage eye, that's a formative experience. That's an interesting point. Thank you for that input. Let's go to Rebecca in California, line 2. Rebecca.
Yes, hello, Laura. So good to speak with you.
Back at you, girl.
I am 25. I have a sibling who is 23, and my sister just turned 20.
Mm-hmm.
We're a household of millennials, and I've often told my mother we are old enough to be our grandparents. Ever since I was, very young, I've always been ostracized in a way from my peers because and my mom gets mad at me when I say, the kids in college or the kids in class or the kids on my sports team. But I can't call them men. They act like boys, and the young women my age, they act like girls. The problem, I think, with a lot of my peers is they haven't grown up. They're still children.
Mm. The adolescence continues, in other words, Rebecca. They're perpetual adolescence, but the culture encourages that, don't you think?
Well, it's not just the culture. I think it's everything. And, of course, it's always beginning with the parents. It's the parents abandoning their kids completely to school, to the TV, and then when they get to teenage years, all the kids want to do is be with other kids their own age. And it's fostered continually from the TV they watch to the books they read. I've picked up sometimes young adult literature, and it feels like it's written for a third grader.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Rebecca, don't go away. Stay here. Stay here with me. That is so funny that you mentioned that, because a friend of mine was just proposing to write something for Life Zet on the dumbing down of literature for young adults today, and how it's either filthy dirty, it's filthy, much of it, or you're right, it's written as if it's being read by a sixth grader. Poor narrative, poor plot, no character development, horrible, horrible, horrible. A lot of bad stuff. I completely concur with this conclusion of yours. Now, Rebecca, is your family an immigrant family into the United States?
My mom was, yes.
And where's she from?
And she's from Guatemala.
Oh, my daughter's from Guatemala.
And do you know, her father, he raised her and her brothers praising the Reagan. His hero was Reagan, John Wayne, Gary Cooper, these figures that I myself was raised, and I can't say these names anymore. People look at me and they go, who's that? Who's John Wayne? And I gape. I think, you don't know the Duke?
A real man,
the symbol of American manhood.
Yeah, he was a man.
She came. I don't speak Spanish. I have no culture. I've never been to Guatemala, and I'm completely cut off from that culture. My mom wholly adopted America. She's now a citizen, and to my ear, at least, she speaks perfect English, and she homeschooled us.
Well, now I get. Now the secret sauce becomes obvious. You were homeschooled, and your mother developed a very strong love of this country. That's the way it should be, right, Rebecca? You have just described for us perfectly the immigrant experience as it should be experienced. That's it. You just described it. A work ethic, an understanding of American culture, history, American heroes, proper gender roles, men and women, the love of learning, and the desire to be truly different. Like, a lot of people are being heralded because they dare to be different. And so Caitlyn Jenner is the courage, the epitome of courage today. Okay, that's the way a lot of people feel. So it's Caitlyn. But I think it's courageous to stand athwart the culture as it exists today. I think your stand is, what are you, 25?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's courageous, to stand against the culture as it exists today. But you can sum up, and then we'll take a break.
I tell people, if they ask, no, I'm not a feminist, I'm feminine. And that goes for my brother, too. He's a man. And unfortunately, I don't know if there's any other men out there for me or my sister. I've never been approached in all of my days, but this is courage, that I'm willing to say who I am. I'm not going to cave into this culture. I'm going to be who I am, whether the party or whoever has a problem with that.
Well, your faith is key, and stay in that faith community, and you'll find someone great. And you're obviously extremely smart. And that's the call of the day. That's a great call. You should get on Life Zet, Rebecca. Get on our new website. You're going to love it. Who knows? You might even contribute to it. I don't mean money. I mean content. LifeZette, ZETTE.com. Go on and you can hit the health, faith, family, pop culture, politics. It sounds like it speaks right to you and where you are in your life right now. Great call. We'll take a break. Don't go away. You're listening to your Healthy Radio Addiction. 60% of workers age 18 to 34, that's the millennials, say if their boss prevented them from using a mobile device to take care of personal tasks, they'd quit.
Oh, no.
They would quit. Many millennials have never known a world without mobile devices. Now employers are forced to deal with younger workers who want to be able to text and use social media on the job. That's a problem. I'm telling you, that is an issue.
You mean I can't Instagram?
Especially the way people are losing focus, an inability to focus and finish a task before them with a sense of excellence and pride and workmanship. You can't do 5 things at once well. You just can't do it. And many jobs require an acute mind, an especially strong focus, laser beam focus, and you're not focused if you're worried about the next text or the next Instagram or the next Snapchat.
We want people to Facebook it, tweet it, all that.
Instagram it,
the hashtag.
Vine it.
How many of you remember your SATs? I do. Now it's the big push to make everything the same. No one should have an edge on the SATs or ACTs, and so I confess I'm dealing with 5th grade trauma right now, like the difficulty of 5th grade.
Well, according to this law, they don't even have to do that well. They can just kind of slide through high school and get into these Ivy League schools.
Good luck when you're. I'll tell you that. Good luck when now colleges are desperate for the cash and cachet of foreign students.
That's what it all comes back to.
They want the money of these foreign students. So don't worry about the testing, the SAT, ACT. Don't worry about the testing. Well, I can tell you who is worried about testing. Koreans, Chinese, the Russian kids. These kids are outperforming, and they're studying morning, noon, and night to get into these American universities. A friend of mine from high school in Dartmouth just emailed me a couple of breaks ago, and I was talking about his daughter. She's a senior in high school. She plays like 5 sports. She's good at all her subjects. I think she's done really well in school. And I said, well, where's she looking at? She's looking at Dartmouth, looking at Georgetown. And I said, well, why doesn't she look at Princeton or Harvard? And he said, because being a great athlete and being great in all subjects and being a suburban girl doesn't get you as far as it used to. He just emailed me that. And he was like, he said, well, she's a lot like you. She was good at a lot of subjects. And I said to him, he's my old boyfriend from high school. I said, Peter, you basically got me through 2 years of math. Peter's like a genius. He could look at a calculus problem, know the answer. He's just a genius at math, but he was good at everything. He was like number 1, number 2 of our class. And Peter basically helped me do really well because he's such a great teacher.
That calculus class that you...
Oh, no. Well, no, the calculus he didn't help me, but I'm talking about Algebra 2,
gotcha.
All the physics, advanced physics classes I took. He's just so good. But his daughter is phenomenal. He's not the same as it used to be. Not the same. These kids, I'm telling you, one of my friend's kids, okay, this was 2 years, he's now a junior. So gosh, he might be a senior at Notre Dame. Top grades. Literally one of the smartest kids I've ever met. Okay? All A's, never got a B. He did cross country, but was he a star athlete? No, but he's a big kid, like strong. Done amazing service projects with his church. Just one of these kids, just you want him to be in your orbit. An amazing young man. So I assume, like Frankie is going to get into every school. And he gets into a lot of good schools, but he doesn't get into some of the top schools. Now, he's about 10 times smarter than I was. Okay? Off the charts. Now, he's going to be – and look, it all worked out the way it should because he's incredible. And he's going on to work for a big – which I won't say where he's going to work. He's going to go work for one of the big high-tech companies because he's a master computer science. He's computer science genius. So he's recruited by one of the biggies. And he's going to go work starting in July, whatever. But when he doesn't get into all the top schools, he got into a bunch of schools. But when someone like him didn't get in, I said, okay, something's wrong here. White, male, top student, Not an All-American lacrosse player, though, right?
Right.
So I was thinking, okay, if I were applying today, I don't know where I'd get in. I mean, I guess I'd get into some couple of good schools. But I think this whole college thing is a big scam. I think it's a huge scam of political correctness. It's for the first couple of years, all you're doing is drinking. I'm sorry, all you're doing is drinking. And unless you're really already mature when you go into college, which I wasn't, I was an idiot, frankly. I really was so stupid when I went to college. I should have taken a year off. Someday I'll write about this. This is dumb doing dumb things. Just like all the things like if my kids did, I would be mortified. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, if my kids act like I acted. But I managed to get pretty good grades, and I did write some really kick butt articles in the Dartmouth Review, and I did have a 40-hour-a-week job, so I did a lot of good stuff. But I look back on it, and I think I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of time, and I didn't do some of the things I really wish. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. But I'm just saying, college today. I mean, think about it. You're spending $50 to $60,000 a year. And if you're a liberal arts major, I'm not talking about the computer science majors or the STEM sciences
or engineers.
Engineering, that's a different deal. Business degrees, those are different deals. That's not political for the most part. But when you go into these liberal arts institutions, this is the most left-wing group of people, and they are churning and burning through European history, Middle Eastern history. They're trashing American literature for the most part, or turning it into a political statement. Everything is political. And if it's not political, frankly, that professor usually doesn't last all that long, or is completely ostracized by the rest of the faculty. If the professor even shows a hint of being a conservative, well, he or she has to be really brave, because it's not going to be pleasant for him or her in most colleges. Now, there are a couple exceptions. I mean, I think, down there in the University of Alabama.
I was about to say, you're exactly right. Even at the University of Alabama, I graduated from business and communication school, but the communication side of it, business, a lot more conservative, right? But communication school, I mean, they did not prepare you for one thing.
Nothing.
Just made it look like it was going to be a lot easier. You can go out and get these jobs.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Look at where you end up working for me. Look at where Drew ends up working for me. I mean, you lucked into this, boy. But think about it. Think about $60,000 a year, and you're going to go into some.
The return rate.
Then we're going to get into the return on the investment. Then you go in to a European history class, and then into the American understanding. All these titles. I love the titles. You go through the syllabi of the assignments, and then you go into the
what's that preparing you for?
Yeah, what's that preparing you for? Exactly. And then it's no. I stand with the people of Colorado. This is a professor. I stand with the people of Colorado and the state legislature that is voting today on whether to change Columbus Day to Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. I kid you not. This is on the homepage of the Denver Post right now.
Yep.
We did this on Life Set. It was one of our biggest stories in the fall. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Now, this is the kind of crapola, your kids are going to be steeped in college. And we're worried about, the SATs might be too hard for that's not fair, that's too hard. That puts too much pressure on the kids.
There are people who are very skilled and knowledgeable who just don't test well. Big state universities, for example, often use them just to screen out a whole lot of applicants real fast. So that, you get a low score, you're just automatically not in the pool.
Let me just say, okay, I didn't test particularly well. I'm not a great standardized test taker. I still remember when I was heading to the SATs. Now, I wasn't one of these people who took multiple SATs. I just took it once. So I was driving, and I hit a squirrel on the way. I ran over a squirrel. And I tried to avoid it on the road, but you know that little crunching sound? You run over a squirrel, that's a crunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, please make that be a stick. Please make that not be the little cute gray. I called squirrels when I was little gray. I said, please don't let it be a little gray. Of course, I look in my rearview mirror. That thing is
done.
Juicy up on the side. Oh, that's all squished. Juicy, squished squirrel behind me in the rearview. I was traumatized throughout my entire SAT. I was so upset by this squirrel because I used to feed them with my hands, and we used to feed the chickadee birds with seeds. my brother Brooks, and then I would feed the squirrels with peanut butter on a Ritz cracker. They were my friends, and we had a red squirrel as a pet. Well, my brother Brooks did, but anyway, that's a long story. But we fed the squirrels, and they were my friends. And I killed one on the way to the SATs. To this day, I think that brought my math scores down at least a couple hundred points. I give a couple hundred points to the maimed squirrel meat that I left on Buttonball Lane. I think I actually remember the street, Buttonball Lane. Yeah, I think that
interesting street name.
Yeah, interesting street name. A lot of good memories from Buttonball Lane. Columbus Day now in Colorado is going to be replaced, it looks like, by Indigenous Peoples Day. This is what happens when your country loses its culture and when we cede our entire educational framework from the public schools that are now being bullied by the liberal activists, the environmental activists, the LGBTQ activists. They're being bullied into changing their curriculum to make people feel better, and changing their curriculum to advance a particular left-wing agenda. And then when you just abandon colleges and universities and allow the inmates to run the asylum, and the inmates are the lefty professors. And then they just perpetuate the leftist stranglehold on colleges, and then it goes and it continues and it continues and it continues. This whole thing needs to be busted up. I really believe the entire public education system, the colleges and universities, with the exception of those more technical trades, and I think a lot of it is just a big scam. I mean,
those are going to fall in suit too. Those are going to fall right in line. Making it fair for everybody to be able to go there, just like Harvard, just like Princeton, all these schools that want to take away SATs to level the playing field. The technical schools are going to do it too.
Okay, so but what I'm saying is at least at the technical schools they're not steeped in political correctness.
Right.
They're really just about this is the nuts and bolts of business. This is the nuts and bolts of being a welder or a plumber or or going into accounting or things that we need done. Stuff that we need done. Well, this is how you do it. This is how you computer coding. That's why kids at a young age now are learning coding. That's a language. It's just a language. Coding is a language. So you learn the computer language, how to make things move from one thing to the next. I just think a lot of this liberal arts stuff is just a waste of your time. I mean, unless you're going to go be a PhD, you get your PhD in the classics and teach the classics at a university, romance languages or. But then, if you're a conservative, good luck getting a job in these colleges. So the thing that I think about most, it's really sad because there's so much beauty and so much to learn and so much to improve ourselves with in our history, throughout world history, in American culture, in American literature, the great American playwrights. There's so much to learn and so much to be proud of. And we're always being taught to be nasty and negative on America in these college and universities. It's about race and gender theory in the American founding. It's about racist Thomas Jefferson and racist John Adams and racist Ben Franklin and Sally Heming. They want to just trash these people because when you trash the founding, you trash the idea of freedom from government intervention, and they want control over the people. And if we can make more people believe that the founding was corrupt, and then the Constitution is corrupt, and then the independence that we love really is built on a faulty foundation, and then the government continues to grow and take more decisions away from you because, look, this whole thing at the beginning, this was a corrupt, horrible group of people that set up this country, that oppressed all these minorities, that ruined women's chances, that prevented women from having all these abortions for all these years, that kept people in the shadows. How could you want to be part of this country's founding and come out of that founding? We have to do a new type of founding based in diversity and tolerance and changing the narrative to a more globalist understanding of the world. That's what it's all about. It's a long-winded way of saying that's what it's all about. 855-40-LAURA. Is college driving your kids insane? And what's the real return on your investment going to college today? There are a couple of conflicting studies out there that college really is worth it. You still make more money in college. But now a couple more pieces of data we want to bring you. 855-40-LAURA. Is college today worth it? If you're a kid in the middle of the pack, is college today worth it? 855-40-LAURA. Well, we have a problem in this country where people can't repay their college loan debt. A big problem. Borrowers owe, money to the federal government that they can't pay back. And in the past 6 months alone, more than 7,500 borrowers owing $164 million have already applied to have their student debt expunged under an obscure federal law that had been applied only in 3 instances before last year. Check this out. The 1994 Department of Education rule makes students eligible for student loan forgiveness if the school used fraud or other illegal tactics in its recruitment. The law forgives debt for borrowers who prove their schools used illegal tactics to recruit them, such as lying about their graduates' earning potential. Oh, no. The Department of Education said it's already agreed to cancel nearly $28 million of that debt for 1,300 former students of Corinthian colleges. It's a for-profit chain. They want to get rid of the for-profit universities. Oh, yeah, they have a war against the for-profits. And I'm not saying all of them are great, but I think they clearly have an agenda against a lot of the for-profits. It seems like there's a place for them as well. Let's go to JB, Orlando, Florida, who's a hiring manager. And JB, what are you seeing out there?
Hi, Laura. Absolutely. I think there's definitely a premium on having that 4-year college degree. And it's not necessarily what school you went to or what you studied or what your GPA is. But as a hiring manager, I'm looking for character. And someone who's completed their 4-year college degree, it tells you that this is somebody who finishes what they start. And that right there says a lot about a person. You hear the issues with student loans, and a lot of times it's people who don't complete their 4-year degree for various reasons, some good, some bad, but it's an excuse. And when I have someone sitting across from me, I'm looking, did they finish? And more importantly, as important as that, is what did you do during those 4 or 5 years? Did you drink and party for the 4 or 5 years, or did you get involved on campus? Did you get involved with maybe Greek Life or other organizations? Why did you get involved with the organizations?
Yeah, those are some good questions. Yeah, I like that. Those are some good questions. Drew was the head of the Interfraternity Council. He was the president. That means he was one of the cool kids. They all went to Drew for the problems with the kegs and everything. Drew, we need your help. So Drew was the guy they went to for all of this.
I can see that.
We'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show. We have a lot to get to. Remember, lauraingraham.com, our new website, all new for you. And I guess, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, greater levels of education do correspond to greater income. This is as of 2014. College graduates earn an average of $412 more per week than those without a college degree. And the same Bureau of Labor Statistics also found that the unemployment rate of those with at least a bachelor's degree is roughly half the rate of those without higher education experience. That rate drops to less than 2.5% unemployment with a master's degree, less than 2% with a doctorate. Students should apply and check out your scholarship opportunities, and in the end, it'll be worth it for you.
I did not realize how wrong, how screwed up the education system is. We now have $1 trillion in student debt in the U.S. That $1 trillion, if you want to describe it cynically, you can say it's paid for $1 trillion of lies about how good education is. Yes, we have a society where successful people are encouraged to go to college, but it's a mistake to think that that's what makes people successful.
There are different viewpoints out there. All right, let's go to all your calls. Let's go to Joey in Florida. You have a kid 3 years out of school, and tell me about him.
Yeah, he got a master's degree from the University of Florida at Richter School of Building Construction. It's one of the better building construction schools basically in the country. He had a master's at 22.
Yikes.
He's been in the workforce for 3 years. He graduated with honors, and he's already in project management status, and he's doing six figures at 26.
That's impressive. So
yeah,
this is just a time. Hey, Joe, you know what I think? This is just a time for people to call in and brag about their kids. I love that. I love parents bragging about their kids. My mother used to brag about me. Oh, my mother would annoy her sister because she would, oh, you know what Laura's done? Oh, my Aunt Mickey would get so annoyed with my mother. She's like, okay, I know, your daughter's, but parents brag. You're bragging on your son, and it's a lot of work, right, Joey? This is a lot of work he put in.
Right. And he's got a brother that's 23 that's getting ready. That's on his last internship. He's a professional chef, and he's got already been hired. He's going to graduate in May. He's already been hired with a top country club corporation in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they in the food business right out of school. They're going to offer him 401k savings.
Okay, we don't need the whole employment package, but I get you. They're both. So my question is, what did you do to instill the work ethic in your kids? What was your secret with your boys?
My secret was to, they had to earn what they. First of all, they were very focused on what they wanted to do. Both of them they knew what they wanted to do, and I encouraged them to go to the best school that they wanted to go to. And, like the guy that was in culinary, I said, hey, you got to get a 4-year degree. So he went to school that offered a 4-year degree in culinary science. It's just good work ethic.
Yeah, but how did they get the good work ethic? That's my how did they get the good work ethic? You must have shown them. You must have demonstrated a work ethic yourself.
Right. And what I always told is, look, make yourself proud first. If you make yourself proud, it all falls into place. The old kid was summa cum laude first in his class.
Okay. Well, you're top kid. You're top kids. These kids are the top kids. Not everybody can be the top, but I mean they're going to do well. The top kids are always going to do well though in anything they do. But I can tell Joey's just an involved dad, and he said you're going to earn everything you do. I like that. I try to say this to my kids. Hold your head up high. Be proud of what you come from and who you are. Be proud of who you are. And it's hard to be proud when you know you're kind of putting in half effort. When you know you're not really trying your best, you can fake being proud, but you're not really proud. But when you know you've tried really hard, you've run the extra mile, you've put in the time to study, that's a good feeling. Mm-hmm. And I remember feeling proud like that on those days. I remember feeling proud when I finished a book. But you gotta want it. You gotta instill that hunger in people. And I say this, Mike, when we look at the people we're hiring for Life's Set. I said, show me who's hungry. I don't care where they go to school. I want to see who's hungry. Who will go the extra mile? Who will do something without being asked? Right. Who will be proactive and say, you know something, I know you want me to do this, but I'm seeing this out there. What do you think about that? Hunger. You can't teach hunger. That comes from inside of you. Yes, parents can try to inspire you, but that hunger to do better and the hunger to excel, you can't, I mean, that is just awesome. And be hungry. Don't be like everybody else. Everyone else phoning it in. They phone it in. You're not going to get anywhere. I'm going off. Look, listen to me. What do I go on and on? Paul in Connecticut, line 6. At my age, you just start telling people how it is. I'm not a pussyfoot around these topics. Paul, go ahead.
Good morning, Laura. I just want to say I listen to you and I watch you all the time. I think you're beautiful and smart. God bless you.
Thank you.
I have 2 boys. And I'll start with the boy number 1. 12 years ago, he finally graduated college. But it starts, Laura, in high school. I remember telling my wife, I go, this boy does not belong in college. There's no way. When we went to his advisor his senior year, she said, oh, don't worry. There's a college for every kid. And we can place anyone anywhere. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. My son barely just about made it through high school. Then he goes to this school in New Hampshire for college, and he starts getting D's on his report, the report card. So I looked at him and I said, "This is a failing grade. In my day, if you received a D, you received no credit for that course." He says, "Oh no, Dad, you get credit." I actually called the school and said, "He gets credit?" And they said, "Yes, he does. He gets credit." So you tell me, Laura, I mean, how much stock do you take in some of these schools? It's crazy.
Well, I think college isn't for everyone. I believe it. I think that is just a lie, that college is for everyone. Maybe a couple of years outside working, learning a trade, learning how to do something, learning how to be something, and then if you've grown up and matured and you really want to put in the time, then maybe. But it's not for everybody. That is a complete lie. Some type of training, I think, is for most people, right? Some type of training to do something that you can always make a living at. But these people graduating from college, they can't find jobs. A lot of them at the top schools can, but I'm telling you, they're not finding jobs in their fields of choice if they're sticking to the very general, liberal arts. I want to work with people. What does that mean? I want to work with people. You hear these comments. What did you study? Well, I studied English literature with a focus on, I did a lot of. I focus on a lot of 20th century literature. I said, "Oh, you want to be a professor or teacher?" "Oh, no, that's just what I was really interested in. There was a cool professor." Okay. All right. Good luck with that. I just don't understand those people. You can't make it today. 35 years ago, different deal. Today, you're competing against China, Russia, Korea, all these students coming from all over the world, and they're hungry. You want to know who's hungry? Meet a student from Serbia. These Serbians, they need their life to get better real bad, real fast. And they'll work a job, and they'll be up until 2 a.m. studying, and they're going to get great grades because they are hungry. 855-40-LAURA. Doug in New York, line 7. Doug.
Hi, Laura. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're awesome. Thanks for standing up to Bill O'Reilly every night when you're on the show. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Anyway, regarding your comments on the college education, I agree with you.
Hey, do me a favor, Doug. Pick up the phone. I mean, if you're driving, I don't want you to be dangerous, but it's hard. I have a hard time hearing you, man.
I am driving.
Oh, well, okay. Then you're gonna have to talk louder and briefly.
Well, I'll try to speak up a little louder. I've never been accused of being soft, so that's funny. But anyway, no, I think you're right on as far as your view on the college education and being more targeted. I think that's where kids need to be today. The more specific they can be in their major, having a general psychology, sociology majors like that really aren't going to do you a heck of a lot of good unless you go out to get a grad degree.
Now, I think that in the end, with an economy that has shrunk for most people, this is a shrinking pool of jobs because the industrial age, long since over, we decided to do all these trade agreements that sent all these jobs overseas, a lot of these in more traditional manufacturing positions, traditional heavy manufacturing. A lot of kids right out of high school could go into these trades. A lot of those jobs are just gone. And there's a few people on the trail who are talking about bringing them back. I don't know if they can or not. But at least we can stop the bleeding that exists today. 855-40-LAURA. We'll go through all your calls. We'll be really quick when we do. Remember, go on lifezet.com. Download the LifeZet app so you can listen to the show. Listen to the show, but you get on our content. HealthZet, MomZet, PoliZet, which is the best in political writing. You want to go to lifezet.com. You can download the app on your mobile. And the new website for our show, lauraingram.com, different from LifeZet. So check out lauraingram.com. And life advice, we're doing colleges, SAT, ACT tests. Now they're going to go for passion. They want to examine your passion when they decide who should get in and who shouldn't get into school and college. Passion. Well, I'm telling you, if you're a passionate conservative, good luck. That doesn't count. Let's go to line 2. Timmy. In Florida. Beautiful Florida. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, my dad taught me work ethic at an early age. I had an uncle who had a watermelon field and put me out in the watermelon field for the summer, and I learned that I did not want to work that hard the rest of my life. I can't do that with my kids. I got too many illegal aliens taking those jobs, Laura. Just have a good day.
So, yeah, that's hard work. That's hard work. But you know something? Hard work makes the man. The old line? Hard work makes the man. You never forget that work. Let's go, Chuck. Got a lot of Florida people calling in. Y'all have a lot of time on your hands down there.
A former college recruiter in Florida. I'm unemployed. I worked 10 years in the industry. They moved the recruiting facility to India. You're 100% spot on. They want that foreign cash, and they want those students going to school online. Number two, Obama is wanting to see the 110 historically black colleges closed because a lot of them are financially unable to give out loans because their clients can't qualify them. And three, most of the degrees that are out there are worthless, as you indicated.
There's no jobs for these degrees. I mean, unless you're working with a STEM. Stand hold, Chuck, if you don't mind. I want to get your information because I think I'm going to do a piece on this for LifeSet. This disturbing. Well, yeah, now the recruiting is over in India. No wonder there's so many Indians coming to American universities. God bless them. Smart kids. Al, Oklahoma. I'm running out of time here. Line 7, Al.
Hi, Laura.
Hey.
I just let me pull over here for a real quick second. I have been working on a holistic approach for sending kids from high school to college over the last 10 years, and I have had nothing but tremendous success. I have a team of people that work with me. We all do it for free. For example, I worked with 50 inner city kids over a 2-year period. All 40 of the 50 kids, all of them graduated, went on to college, fully funded. 7 went on to technical school, 3 went on to the military,
wow.
and here's the point. Every single person that I've had that studies the methods that we've used for the ACT have scored 5 to 7 points higher, and it's all free. And I cannot get a soul to listen to my program. I'm so fed up with dealing with the blockheads in education, and I'm an educator that...
Hey, Al, can you hold on? Because I want to get the information from you. Hold on, because we're almost out of time. I have to get to Jill, Georgia, line 8. Jill, go ahead. You have a sophomore in college very quickly. Got about 15 seconds.
I do. I just think it's all the great schools in the Northeast are just completely rigged. When they come down to recruit down here, they just want the black kids who they can fill their sports teams with. It's disrespectful to the black kids. And there's a little white girl, a sophomore going to a college fair. She just gets blown off by the recruiters, and they just want to talk to the black kids who can play football or a good sport.
Well, the athletes do get a big push, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. 855-40-LAURA. Oh, we're out of time.